Yo, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the SBP. We are back again. I'm your boy Prime Source. What's good?
Prime, what's going on, man?
There's a whole lot going on out here in these streets, the
Yeah.
real streets, the sports streets, everything. It's a whole lot going on out here.
It really is. The world has gone crazy. The world been crazy. 2025 has been
I was going to
crazy.
say it's been crazy.
Yeah, the world's been crazy the whole time, but 2025 has ramped it up a little bit.
Yeah, man, it is off the chain right now. I know if you own any type of media device, you on social media, you got an iPhone, iPad, computer. It's just reckless folks out here, reckless talk. I mean, some good stuff too, but it's just a lot of reckless folks. So if you haven't in these last few years for different reasons, figured out that a lot of people are not the people that you thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might have given people too much credit for certain things. Now, like last year in women's basketball, and this year in the NFL draft, it exposed a lot of folks, put a lot of it out there on the table. So, yeah, man, but
Wild
and hard. But you know what? I don't care. They gonna be who they gonna be. I ain't got to be with all of them. I ain't got to be with any of them for real. But yeah, man, it's been crazy, man. How your week been?
I don't even know, man. I don't even remember. I went to Philly just Friday for the day to go to Penn Relays for somehow this is the first time we've gone to Penn Relays.
Really?
Yeah, it's like every year something, either the team didn't go or Jada was hurt or COVID. Like since high school, since ninth grade, she's never been to Penn Relays for whatever reason.
Right.
So she went. She ran Friday and then the 4x1, and it was crazy. They ain't win their heat. They were, they didn't make finals when their heat, which is not expected because everybody was at Penn Relays. But they did set a top 5 time in Cornell history. So can't complain. Not too bad. Could have been the best time. Like they could have got the record, but they had a bad handoff, so they missed it like by 0.3 or something like that.
It's great. So I'm trying to think. I've never been to an event like that. Now, normally, about how long do those events normally last? Like during the course of the day, like
all day.
So, well, that makes sense. Yeah,
all day. And this, I think it was 3 days, so it was Thursday through Saturday.
Right.
All day. She ran at like 12:50, but they were there. I don't know what time it started, but I heard somebody talking about their teammate was running at 8. So all day.
Wow. That's what it is, man.
Yeah, I missed all the good stuff. I keep seeing articles pop up. Like I know Quincy, I forgot Quincy's last name, that was in the Olympics. That Bullets team, they were there. I think they ran on Thursday.
Okay.
They had the international teams. Like it was crazy.
Man, sound like you had a full time down there, man.
Yeah, man.
Like going on.
Yeah, that's the rest of the next month. The next month is reckless. So.
Well, speaking of reckless, man, we're gonna get right into it, man, because it's a lot of stuff going on. Of course, we can start with the the NFL draft, man, and I didn't do a whole lot of extra draft prep this year like I normally do. I just couldn't find it in me. I knew the folks that I was interested in, and I was anxious to see them, where they went, and most of them went right about where I thought they would go. And then I was on I was over with Joel and Didge over on What You Do About Nothing, that show, with Juwan and Joel's show. And we actually did the first round of the draft, just not trying to break it down and be experts or anything, but we were just out there just pretty much having a watch.
Right.
Just doing a watch on it, making comments and, what we thought, who we thought would go here, who we thought would go there. Comment on some of the picks and talked about our teams just a little bit. But of course, when we talk about reckless, man, we're gonna dive right into Shedeur, man. Shedeur Sanders. Everybody knows what went down. He had to wait till the 5th round to hear his name called, and it's a lot of talk, man. So when we started this show, and we were talking about just how people think, and I never beat somebody up for having an opinion, but some of the stuff that's coming out of these people's mouths is crazy. Like it's crazy. Like, and the comparisons that they're making to why something went this way, why Shedeur had to wait. He wasn't that good. It's just some of the stuff is ridiculous. Like, listen to yourself, man. Like, because some of these people just double talking, and I'll give a few examples here in a little bit, but him having to wait, in my opinion, it's a whole lot wrapped up into that. It's a whole lot wrapped into that. We can narrow down a couple of things off top that for sure we know what it is, right? And then there's some other things I think that, NFL teams, NFL franchises saw or didn't see that I'm gonna honestly think that may have been legit. In their thinking, I don't think everybody was out for the foolishness, right? I think there was a large amount of people out for the foolishness that Shedeur may not have had a hand in, or shouldn't have been taken that deep, man. But I don't know, man. What did you think about it?
What do you mean the foolishness? What are you referring to?
So the foolishness is a lot of this talk, because stuff that I'm seeing, which we know we were going to see it, so it's no surprise, but the stuff that I'm seeing when they're talking about Shedeur, why he lasted till the 5th round, and he got to start bringing up the facts about it was solely because he wasn't as good as he made out to be, that he's made out to be. And that is the only reason. Why can't you guys get it? It's in that he just wasn't that good. I'm like, okay, that's, we can go down a long list of football players and quarterbacks, things that have been taken. You can say the same, you can say that about legitly, right? And they went high. Y'all didn't have anything to say about that, man. But it's solely, what I'm saying the most is solely, the only reason is because he is not that good.
Yeah. This joint was wild. Because I remember, a few days ago when they were just saying, if Shedeur's not scooped up here or here, then he may be sitting till the 2nd round. I thought that was crazy off rip. I was like, nobody's gonna pick Shedeur Sanders up. Why? So we've gone through. Forget the playing. Forget the season and the season before. We've gone from bowl game through off season to now. And outside of the last couple weeks, nobody was saying this. Or even if you heard a whisper, it was just a whisper. Now it's everybody. All of a sudden, it's everybody. Nobody's going to pick the man up. You know what? I heard somebody say, these teams aren't going to pick up somebody that they don't see as a franchise quarterback that early. Old Tyler got picked up. Dylan got picked up. Jalen got picked up. What
y'all see Dylan as a franchise quarterback, right?
Bro, what are we talking about? Like, clearly there's more to it. And this is, it is what it is. Like, it's all right. I did see a random white guy say, people talking about it's racism, but everybody picked before blah 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 was black. I was like, y'all can't be this stupid, bro. You can't. They can't.
They just can't
be this stupid.
Yeah, there's a comment here. The deal, and I'm not gonna beat anybody down for their opinion, but I would wonder how you come to this conclusion. The people that say traveling circus of Sanders doesn't match the on-field talent. Why doesn't it match the on-field talent? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're using these folks that use this logic because They didn't play anybody. Okay. All right. So they didn't play any. So automatically somebody is automatically not talented because they did it against lesser talent. They're automatic. You just know this, right? So I guess he was supposed to, since he supposedly played against teams, guys that weren't as talented, he's supposed to have just been average against that talent. You see what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? All of this, well, he didn't play anybody. These are the same people. So I'm going to tell you this. These are the same people, Source, that when Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy, a lot of this stuff was, he was doing it against nobody. They weren't playing anybody. Of course he's going to do that. But now that Shedeur dropped till the 5th round, the talk is, of course he was putting those numbers up. He was throwing to Travis Hunter. And I'm saying these comments like, dude, y'all cannot freaking be serious. I'd be anxious to know if you know the deal. That's how you feel. That's how you feel, bro. But are you an NFL scout? I mean, like, are you? You can have your opinion because I have mine. And I'm not here to dispute you to say that I know for sure that he's gonna go ahead and blow the league up. But I'm just telling you, how do you come to the conclusion that it does not match the on-field talent? I would like to know.
I have another question.
Yeah.
What do they think is going to happen? Like, what do they think is going to happen when the season starts? Like, is Shedeur Sanders going to take over the NFL team and overpower the ideas of the coaches, the GMs, the owners? Like, Shedeur Sanders is going to come in and do whatever you want to do. So it's going to be a circus in the NFL locker room. It's going to be that's stupid. That is stupid thinking. I don't care who it is.
You know what's going to be next, don't you?
That's stupid thinking. That's logical thinking.
I agree. And you know what's going to be next, don't you? We can't escape it. You know what's going to be next, don't you?
What's that?
I didn't even think about this. Kevin Stefanski seems to find himself on some people's hot seat.
Oh man,
all the time, even though a couple of years ago they were 11-6, I believe. Then last year they go 3-14. There's a lot of stuff that went into that though. Let's not just put it all on Stefanski. They had some injuries, quarterback situation this year had, couldn't get Nick Chubb back till later. The organization ain't really did you any favors with the receiving situation. I mean, they go get Judy, but I'm just saying, how long now? If Shedeur stays here in Cleveland, how long now before we on watch, before we hear the Dion talk, taking Stefanski's spot?
In Cleveland. That Dion said anywhere but Cleveland just a couple months ago. He said anywhere but Cleveland. And I thought that was funny though, that he stayed in the draft. Shedeur stayed in the draft this long and then ended up in Cleveland. I was like, come on, bro. Like, the only place Dion was like, nah, was Cleveland. How you end up in Cleveland? Like,
keep in mind that was years ago too. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm talking about Dion talking on was it on
you're talking about more recently?
Nightcap. Yeah. Like random conversation. And he may not have said the word Cleveland, but there was a conversation about Cleveland. He alluded to like, nah, that's not the place. Like, there's some places that we ain't going.
Yeah.
Well, the NFL colluded to say otherwise.
Yeah, and he thinks about it, and so we're on that. The dumbness. So of course the videos have come up of the Eli and Archie Manning situation, right? Remember, if you remember the videos back then. Oh,
Eli was heated, boy.
Eli was like, yo, he said, oh, yeah, lady asked him about some word that you don't want to go to the Chargers and such and such and said the third. He said, oh, yeah, we're not going to go there. We're not going to get into any details, but no, we don't. This man said this right there on camera, bro.
Yeah.
Right there on camera with his daddy saying
after being drafted.
With his daddy saying it right beside it. Right beside him. So I saw one thing this morning that says, so somebody asked that question on another page that I was looking through, and somebody said, so what's the difference? And then the person comes out with the comment saying, well, that shows you who has the real power. Saying it was something negative towards Dion. The the Mannings are an institution, something like that. Sanders is not what he thinks he is. He don't have that type of power to move. You know, it was just something. I'm just sitting there like, okay, all right, here we go. Like it's.
They said it like it was. They tried to flip the narrative and create it as a negative. Well, you don't have the okay, but we don't want Deion to have that type of power. Well, Deion doesn't have the type of power that man needs to pick a struggle, yo. Pick a struggle. Pick a golly. This all of this is the same. It's the same people that do the same arguments when it comes to racism in America. It's the same thing. You're gonna move the goalposts to whatever you want it to be in that moment, and then you're gonna stand on that until somebody proves it wrong or there's a different angle, and then you're gonna go to doing the same thing at the other angle. It's the same thing. That's why I don't argue with these people for real.
Hey, Caesar, them people had you looking like a saint for real. Caesar said some clown said off the wall ish this week. Oh, you right. look, mad clown behavior out here. So I never believed that actually Caesar would actually people would outdo Caesar.
I'm waiting.
They outdid you Caesar majorly, bro.
I'm waiting for your opinion, Prime. I'm waiting for you to give your opinion on your man's, because I know you like Ryan Russillo, right?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay. I thought you liked him.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's cool. Like his
Russillo is the one that used to host with Jalen, right?
Yeah. I used to be high up. I used to be him and no. That's Jalen Jacoby. That's Jacoby.
Yeah.
Ryan Russillo used to be on the joint. Used to have the joint going with my man. He used to be with SVP.
You know? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I was a big fan of his back in the day. Now he's been talking a little reckless lately, you know, but he entitled to his opinion. I mean, this is a man that, you know, that gets drunk and wakes up in other people's hotel rooms butt naked.
Word.
And get caught for it. So, you know, but I heard his comments, man. That's how he feel. I mean, that's just how he feel. And we're finding out through a lot of people that that's how a lot of people feel. And there's some people who try to disguise it just to save face. But let me go to this real quick. All right, so you know the deal came back. So shout out to you for coming back to it, because sometimes we ask questions and people don't want to answer after I just ask the question. So he says clearly he should have been drafted higher. My argument is, looking at the quarterback needed teams, is it worth the risk in drafting Sanders over other options, vets or rookies? Okay, I can respect that. If you want to put the vets or rookies, if you want to add that into the mix, and I can definitely respect that comment. I would still struggle. So Shedeur didn't go first or second round. I would still struggle putting Dylan Gabriel in front of a Shedeur Sanders. I would struggle putting Tyler. So we're talking about putting vets and rookies, right? The situation with the Saints, right? Situation with the Saints. Derek Carr may or may not play this year. May not be ready till late in the season if he does play. We know Derek Carr's days are numbered in this league. What are you hurting? What are you hurting by taking a Shedeur Sanders with the New Orleans Saints? Especially with that young core, young core of receivers that they have. I mean, the things that you could build. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your opinion that Tyler is definitely better and you feel he's a better prospect than Shedeur, then by all means, I guess I have no problem with it, right? But we're looking at the teams that had a chance to draft him that were needy. Pittsburgh Steelers come to mind, right? Pittsburgh Steelers come to mind. Where on the Pittsburgh Steelers do you see that there was a real glaring need on that team when we're talking about prioritizing vets and rookies other than the quarterback position? Especially when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. Well, I can't wait till it's out of this league for real. But a Hall of Fame quarterback holding you hostage as it is about what his decisions are, what you want to do. What does that make sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And I'm not, and I'm to be the last to imply anything racist about the Pittsburgh Steelers because we know the whole Rooney situation, and we know them, you know, we know the Rooney Rule. It was made because of them. And they have a black coach who they truly love and respect. I'm not implying anything racist against them, but I'm just talking about the logic when we're talking about things of vets and rookies. You got to find me somebody on that team that you prioritizing over a quarterback at that point. But I appreciate that though. You know the deal. That's good stuff. And I'm glad you clarified yourself, bro. That's cool.
Man, please find me somebody. Please find me somebody that was projected wherever
you can't
and fell 4 rounds, not including the round that what y'all just making up stuff, dog. There's no logical explanation for this. First to fifth, there's no logical explanation. Y'all miss me with all the other stuff.
So you know what I can't get a clear answer on, other than it's just because it's different times. Okay, I mean it's the easiest thing to say. But we go back to the obvious names that we're going to pop up when people are talking about Shedeur's support. Well, what's the off-field stuff? I mean, now this is what I'm trying to figure out. Where's the off-field stuff that they're talking about? Because I do understand that supposedly he turned some people off in some interviews. This is what we're hearing. Okay, all right. I mean, he may have. I can't defend that.
You said some people. I saw one. You saw more than one?
Saw it everywhere.
No,
I'm talking. You talking about the group?
No, I'm talking about people like teams that actually said it, or somebody actually said it. We saw the anonymous guy.
Oh, so the anonymous, we don't put their name on anything. Of course, they came out, and to my understanding, and tell me if you heard different, it was the Giants.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
So what I was hearing was supposedly the Giants. Now, when they asked Dabo about it, I was watching the thing with Dabo yesterday. He didn't say anything didn't happen, but he spoke highly of Shedeur. So they sat down and we Cam and all of them, and he says he's very good. You know, this we had great productive this and that, the whole 9 yards. Now he didn't say nothing did happen. You know that nothing didn't happen. But I'm just saying they had that one anonymous source, and then all of a sudden all this stuff is coming out of the woodworks now with Shedeur about this, and we got to factor in supposedly the traveling posse or entourage, whatever, is going to be a problem. You know, what problem is it going to be? Like, tell me, because unless you're talking about you worried about Dion calling you and getting on your ear on the phone, Dion going to be in Boulder, right? Shedeur, little brother Shiloh, which nobody said anything bad about Shiloh. Shiloh's trying to make a team right now. You worry about Dion Jr., you worry about Bucky. Bucky gonna be taking pictures and filming video on the sideline with Prime. What are y'all talking about? We don't hear anything about his girlfriend that y'all don't like. We don't even know. I don't even know his girlfriend is. We don't hear nothing about none of his boys. Was posted up in the club. We don't know anything about that. So what is the issue?
They can't. Like, how they gonna get access to anything that y'all don't give them access to as an organization? Even if you thought they were the worst people and whatever you thought was gonna happen, how do they get access to this stuff? Yeah. They can't, because you're the organization.
I tell you something dumb that I saw too in another group, a page that I follow. So the comments, now there's a lot of coaches coming out speaking very highly of Shedeur. I saw Kellen Moore just recently posted something. I don't know how they even got on it. Well, he mentioned something. And it's probably because somebody probably asked him when they was thought about not taking Shedeur. Mm-hmm. And he spoke very highly of him. The coach I saw speak the highest of him, of course, was Sean Payton. So there was a dummy on one page asking him, if you speak so highly, why didn't you draft him? I said, okay. You do realize these people just drafted a quarterback last year that led them to the playoffs, right? A young quarterback, a quarterback who will be in his second season this year. Right. What sense does it make for the Denver Broncos to draft Shedeur Sanders, especially in the first 2-3 rounds of a draft. You see what I'm saying? Why? People just come with the dumbest stuff. Why didn't you draft him? Guess he probably knows nothing about Bo Nix, right? Just throwing out dumb stuff, right? Following his plan. But I thought that was interesting, man. But you hear these people talk about accomplishments. Okay, he wasn't in the SEC, right? Lighting it up, but you got to think about when he went to Jackson State. Jackson State was barely on the map. They went there, did big things. They made it to a championship game, right? They lost it late in the game. They made it to a championship game. Went to Colorado the season before. They won one game. One game. Oh, but he didn't play any better. I don't care what kind of talent you playing. You know what I'm saying? You lost one game the year before he got there. You got to account for something. Part of this source is too, not only because they don't like the flashiness and all this. His daddy paying for, some of it, they said it seems like the father. His daddy too. They can talk about all this that they want. But there will be some organizations just because of Dion. Whether it's somebody who didn't like him from back in the day when they played and he was in the league with them, whether they just don't like the brashness, what they perceive as brashness, you can't be confident. It's brashness. It's this and whatever, they can disguise it any way they want. They find inconvenient excuses. But some of this got to do with his daddy too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then so, he flashing the rollie. But y'all didn't have no problem with Johnny Manziel and that money sign, did you? Y'all ain't had no problem. No problem. Y'all worried about this man. We ain't seen this man get in trouble with the law, no craziness, put his hand on a woman, nothing like that. But when Baker Mayfield was at Oklahoma, y'all seem to forget. Baker Mayfield is the dude that got arrested out here. He tried to, was he fleeing an assault? Somebody called in something about an assault. He got arrested, fleeing a cop, having an altercation with a cop. He was drunk in public, and a bunch of other stuff. But this man went number 1 overall. I ain't had no problem. Oh, it's a different time, prime. But okay. Johnny Manziel, since you guys supposedly do your homework, they do all their homework, dog. You do all their homework on people's background, and they get in there and talk to people. Y'all gonna act like y'all ain't know that Johnny Manziel was out here flying out of town before and after practices. He in gambling casinos, supposedly allegations. So you take allegations certainly whether it was proven right or wrong. The man rolling up dollar bills and snorting cocaine off of people's stomach, girls. Like, this is all, but y'all do your homework though. We don't like the things we're hearing. We send somebody out to investigate. What does y'all investigate? We should do. We didn't like the way he flashed his watch. These people crazy, man.
That's it.
These people crazy. And most of them know the answer, but they're not gonna let you get to it. They just gonna get to it. But these other guys can get arrested and do all this other stuff, right? But you know, tell you what's funny about this though. What they all got in common, dog? Who drafted him? That is crazy.
Yeah. That's wild. End up in Cleveland somehow, some way. I don't know, man. I don't know. Something ain't right. A lot ain't right.
Yeah, folks in the group don't like it. It is an odd place though, because I think I don't know if it was maybe Everett Gillis, maybe Rob Parker. So somebody had put in the group. I saw where quarterbacks go to die, and then somebody said it was funny. Said, "Man, I'd rather go." He said, "Go back to I don't know, go somewhere, go back to college." But it was funny. And you got to admit, it's going to be a tough road though, because if you think about it, as that division is presently constructed, you have the Ravens team, which we know going to be the Ravens. They're going to be good. The Steelers are right there, competing for the playoffs. They make the playoffs. And even the Cincinnati Bengals, with all their problems, they got an offense that'll, blow the doors off of just about any team in the league. So So you think about that spot. Not only is Shedeur going to be fighting for a job in an ugly quarterback room. That's the ugliest quarterback room I've seen in my life. 5 quarterbacks on there. But you're also thinking about, the division itself. But this could also turn out to be one of the greatest stories ever. Shedeur comes out of all of this season, next season, whatever, becomes the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns and returns his team into respectability. Right? What they gonna say then? So he's got it feels like to me it's like the ultimate setup, that if it goes right, it could be the craziest thing ever. They ain't, folks gonna find a reason to discredit it, but think about it. He's fighting against a lot, but it has a real shot of doing something special here.
They win the Super Bowl. It's always gonna be the next thing. Whatever happens, no matter how he could throw for 4,000, double touchdowns over turnovers or picks or whatever the case may be, triple, and it's still gonna be he didn't do the next thing. So it's always gonna be that, and that's just how some people are gonna approach it, regardless. For somebody they don't like, even though they have no reason not to like, there's nothing. Shedeur doesn't bother anybody for real. He don't bother anybody. He's funny, but I wish him the best. That's all I can say.
You know the deal. Where do you see this playing out? So that's kind of what we're talking about now. I think the kid's gonna be successful. Now, the funny thing is with this whole situation, is it successful with the Cleveland Browns? Are we sitting here in a year or two, or a couple of years from now, looking at something comes up? There's a team that needs a quarterback desperately. He's somewhat successful. And then maybe he's not a Cleveland Brown. Maybe he's a Cleveland Brown for a short time and the situation comes up. However it comes up, and he's with another organization that needs a quarterback, and maybe he shines there. I don't know. I feel he's going to be successful. I mean, if there was ever a guy that seems to embrace the challenge, I think he's one of those guys. Like, you can tell just by the way they was like when he finally got drafted, heard his name called. Man, they was in there celebrating like it was the first round. Because in hindsight, okay, I'll come to terms with it. Prayed on it. I just need to get in the league at this point. I'm gonna get in the league. I really feel like I'm ready to show these people what I'm about. Not just talk. I think he really feels like, hey man, I can do this, and I'm gonna do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I loved it, man. They was partying. They was partying hard over there.
2 things, Prime. One, I'm glad they didn't show the world a whole bunch of sadness and looking, and they made it into a positive. I'm glad they did that. And oh man, the one I wanted to ask you, how did we get to the prank call thing though?
I don't know. I don't even. That's crazy.
How does that information? If the man said he bought a new phone for this thing, how does the phone number get anywhere outside of the NFL?
Yeah. How? It's a conspiracy, man. It's
conspiracy.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Something ain't right.
Yeah, you brought up earlier we were talking about the yard. Somebody posted in the SVP this morning. I think it was a post from Screen Rant. I think it was Screen Rant that put it up. Somebody put a very good question up. And they said, if Arch Manning completes 74% of his passes for 4,000 yards and 37 touchdowns, does he go in the 5th round? Now, what the argument, this is the first argument it's going to be, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the competition.
Look at the competition. Yeah.
You're not going to be the first. That's going to be the first thing that's used. You guys are hollering racism, inclusion, and all that. That's not what it is. I got look who he's playing against.
First round to fifth round.
But like I always say, bro, I don't have a problem with you people stating about any player. Yeah, but they didn't play against SEC. They just had in the third, so I don't know how good they are. I don't have a problem with that. But anybody that states that somebody is not good just because of who they played against, just because, you don't know whether or not they were going to be good or not. They played against better time. You're just saying they're not good because they're not playing against.
Man, that Patrick Mahomes, man, I tell you.
Yeah, these people crazy, man. These people are crazy. Let me see. I will say this though. Man, he could mess around. He ain't even won a job yet, right? They got the ugly quarterback room. You got Deshaun Watson, whose future is up in the air, definitely up in the air with Cleveland. Joe Flacco is back. Remember, what was it? A couple of years ago, we came over there. He won a comeback player of the year, but he's back. You got your former boy, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel. Right now, we know that probably at least two of these guys are not going to be on the roster by the time we get to, probably get down to the meat and potatoes of this thing. But I'm just saying that is a crazy, crazy quarterback room. But he can mess around. What if the jersey sales just take off like crazy in Cleveland? This man ain't even starting yet. You know what I'm saying? That's around. They can show Cleveland dog pound out there, skull caps, that is everything. Out the cold as a mug. They got the jersey pulled over. You'll see a ton of them. Because outside of the only other jersey that I would probably want to see in Cleveland is Myles Garrett.
Right.
Yeah, y'all happy now because Myles Garrett changed his tune. Y'all done gave him the money he want to stay. Right. So it's probably plenty of those jerseys. He's gonna be there for a little bit. But imagine the amount of Shedeur Sanders jerseys we're gonna see out and about when the season starts. And this man at that point might be second. To start the season, he might be second or third on the depth chart, possibly.
We're going to see. It's going to be interesting. It's not going to be interesting. It's going to be a mess, but, we shall see.
Yeah, man. Let me see. I don't think I got nothing else on. We need to expose these people, man. I'm trying to make sure. People ain't going to care, but I do wonder though what Myles Garrett, because remember Myles Garrett, one of his supposed criticisms, he won't happy because they ain't had no quarterback, no real. I wonder. See Myles Garrett taking Shedeur up under his wing like, little brother, you hang with me. They better give you any ish, I'll let your boy. This anything. Yeah. Shedeur ain't carrying no laundry. He ain't carrying nobody water. He ain't doing nothing. Nope, he ain't doing nothing. We understood? Who gonna check him, Source?
Nobody.
Yeah, man. What else we got? How much of the draft did you watch, Bob?
I was in. Kelsey wanted to watch it, so we ended up watching more than I cared to watch. I don't care about watching the draft most of the time, anyway. So I saw enough. And I thought it was. I enjoyed the players seemed to be excited, coming down that tunnel, and that was cool. I thought that was cool, and the picture, throwing the hat on, looking in the camera and all that. I enjoyed that.
Oh, got to put this up. Shout out to my dog right here. West said, I'm getting me a Shedeur's jersey. Hey, son, give me one too. You know my size. Hook me up. Sport them joints together. Yeah, no doubt. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, the draft, man. Like I said, I was on a live watch with Joel and Didge. We had fun with it. Watching through the first round. Of course, I watched the second round. I didn't do any watch. I got invited to a watch by a I don't know the guy's name, but anyway, some podcast group that I follow, and they figured out that we do sports or whatever, and I got invited over to watch. And I contemplated it for round two, for parts of round two, but I didn't do it. And of course, I watched round 3 at work, man. But round one, man, round one. I don't know if there's anything that really stood out to you. Caesar made a great point, as well as I think it was I might have been Scott Van Pelt, but a couple of people made a point about Cam Ward. Cam Ward going number one, and we're doing more talking about other players than we are about Cam Ward going number one. And now I do want to let people know initially, we know that there was Shedeur Sanders talk out there, but we ain't just talking about Shedeur Sanders. They were just talking about stuff in general, other things happening in the draft in general. They gave more shine than Cam Ward being the number one pick, you know. And shout out to Tennessee, man, for going out there, getting that guy and sticking to their guns, man. And I think I mentioned before, maybe the last time you and I were on and we briefly touched on the draft, I believe, that is a spot that I wanted, I like him there. I like him in Tennessee, man. I can't wait to see him ball out, man. What you think about Cam going over there?
He's going. I'm glad that he'll probably get opportunity to rock a little bit because we've seen teams, and quarterbacks or disrupt quarterbacks' growth by snatching them out the lineup. Carolina, hello. Before, because like who are they trying to please by taking out their number one pick from the lineup when you know there's not much going on around them? You don't have a lot of pieces for success, so and you don't have a backup that's necessarily going to be a world beater. Or a lot of times don't have a backup that is even quality. And they
Yep.
sit these guys down. But I don't think that's going to happen with Cam. I think Cam will be able to rock. And I mean, I can't say that he's going to come out and go crazy out the gate. Houston, hello. But I think that he'll have the opportunity to grow into the position, and he's going to be as spectacular from the beginning. As spectacular as he was in moments. It'll just be those bad moments to see if he can learn from them and be able to limit the amount of bad as opposed to the good plays they'll be able to make.
Gotta feel good for him, man. Went to a couple of schools when he was in college, but we're talking about a guy that was a 0-star prospect. Zero. I think it came to a point time going late in his career that he ended up having like one offer for a minute.
Right.
Before things took off. I think one of my favorite parts of not at the draft so much was afterwards, because the question came out about him rocking that number one.
Yeah.
And, shout out to one of the greats, man, Warren Moon. Shout out to Warren Moon, who didn't waste any time. First we saw they say Warren Moon. I said they're going to consider him letting Cam rock that number one. And shortly after, walks out and presents him with the number one jersey.
Yeah.
No big head on his shoulder, man. And it's just crazy we pull up Warren Moon, not to take away from Cam, but I was just thinking about the situation quickly. We just talking about Shedeur. We talking about Shedeur finding his way. There's a Hall of Famer right here in Warren Moon who wasn't even drafted.
Wasn't even in the league.
Yeah, wasn't even in the league. And here he is giving his jersey to Cam Ward. So hope Cam does well. And yeah, I think that's a good spot for him, man. And the thing is, what I love about them sticking to their guns, nobody's gonna talk about it. But I remember, he made some plays in some big games when he got to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
If you were watching his initial breakdown when teams were discussing what they liked, they didn't like about him, and they had just as much to say about certain things that he needed to work on or he wasn't good as they were talking about Shedeur. The difference is, Cam Ward's daddy ain't Dion. You know how that goes. But I take anything away from Cam Ward, man. I'm happy for this. I'm really ready to see this dude rock, man, out there. They guys can, like you said, they continue to build around him, put some pieces around him. But I think they're going to be happy with this dude, man. I don't think we're going to have like no Malik Willis situation, and then I think they're going to be happy with this dude.
Yeah, and Malik Willis,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any comparison
Yeah.
with any recent Titans quarterbacks to Cam Ward. So I wish him the best, and we gonna see.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put the Air McNair tag on. I think if they would happy to at least get close to, the production, and then, well, probably better, but you got to think about it. Recently, what's the last good quarterback they really had? Was it Vince?
As
That brought
far
some
as
type of excitement, at least.
oh
Because McNair got
yeah, it gotta
drafted
be.
in 95, right? Yeah, 95-ish. 95, something there. Then that would lead to, and they were still the Oilers then. Yeah.
Yeah,
So 95-ish. Vince, what was Vince? 06, I think. Somewhere in there. So yeah, so that would leave, man.
and Tannehill. What was in between?
They had some Luke Falk, I think it was.
Yeah, it's
Uh
bad business.
Zach Mettenberger.
Oh man, you bringing up
Yeah,
some
man,
people I
they
ain't even
was
thought
out there.
about.
Oh. They did have hype for one quarterback we're forgetting is still in the league. He just become a journeyman backup now. Just hit me.
Oh
They were high on Mariota.
yeah, true. And he went to the playoffs. He took him to the playoffs.
Yeah. So I almost forgot about. It's crazy. We naming folks who ain't even in the league no more, who out here coaching kids softball teams and stuff now, and we forgetting the dude who's actually in the league still.
Yeah.
So
Barely. Yeah, he is.
I tried to get the video of up showing Warren Moon walking in handing Cam that jersey, man, but I didn't get it at the time. But
That's
shout
good.
out to Cam Ward. Travis Hunter, the Jags made a move for Travis Hunter. I like that. They jumped up a little bit. I wanted Travis to play somewhere where it was warm, man.
That was a bold move. We can appreciate that. And that means they really wanted to do it, obviously. They made it happen. Jumped from 5 to 2, gave up whatever they gave up, and got their guy.
Oh, I get it now. Big Mo said, as a Colts fan, I don't like the Titans or the Jags picks. I understand, bro. I understand. If I was a Colts fan, I definitely would feel you on that. So
He said Duval. As long as he don't say Duval like old boy said Duval when he got there, then they'd be all right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but shout out to Travis, man. I like what they're doing out there. This is an organization that's been in a little turmoil, especially in the front office the past couple of years. Shad Khan going out there firing everybody, even cleaning house, throwing people out the office from the, people up top of him in the GM spot, all the way down to the secretary, the people in charge of paper clips. Man, they cleaning house. Yeah, people are money in the organization, and misappropriating funds and scams, and Chad ain't having it. And I loved how he was something we don't always see when they showed Travis Hunter entering the Jags facility the next day. He was right there. We don't always see the owners initially, like the first time. Sometimes we see the head coach and a couple of assistants. We see the GM later. But Shad was right there welcoming him in. He's like so happy to have you here. I think Trav gonna do good. He's gonna look good with that Jag on his helmet.
I ain't mad at it. Looking forward to it. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and you add him into a possible, you want to try to get Trevor Lawrence right. If he's gonna be with you, after the next couple of seasons, you look at it, you got an exciting young receiver in Brian Thomas. People ain't talking about Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas legit.
No doubt.
Yeah, he's legit. You put Travis out there, let him play receiver. Then, of course, we know he'll end up playing some defense too. My understanding is that they were looking at him as a receiver initially, but we'll see what happens. You got a good third receiver in De'Ami Brown. A promising receiver. I know Washington was hoping to keep him. So it's a youth movement going on over there. And whether Travis is full-time offense or not, I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, he'll get enough touches on the offensive side, I think. Enough opportunity, I should say.
Speaking of jersey joints, my man, I thought was funny. Did you see the situation with Abdul Carter and the Giants?
With the jersey?
Yeah. So him, of course, he and Michael Parsons are close. Penn State, the whole 9 yards, so they're close.
Right.
So we know that Abdul Carter was arguably, along with Travis Hunter, the most dynamic defensive players here in this draft. And so Micah was talking to him, and it was like, yo, bro, I know you can go out there. You're going to rock that 11, right? You're going to rock that 11. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, no, man. He says, 56 sounds good to me with the Giants. That's big talk and some super big shoes you trying to fill. But respectfully, the man who drunk 41 beers and says he didn't remember getting drafted on his way to the Hall of Fame, Mr. Lawrence Taylor said, nah, bro. He said, that ain't happening. He said, try a different number, maybe even 00. He said, make it legendary yourself. You know what I'm saying? So respect the LT.
Yeah, he don't.
Make it famous.
Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah. People seem to forget, man, LT was a gem though. So that man said he drunk 41 Coors during the draft. After the draft, he don't remember being drafted.
I mean, he's also the guy that didn't know the teams in the division, so that's cool.
Couple of things that caught my eye, man, before we got to the draft is it might not be big to anybody else, man, but I thought it was wild. Your boy Ashton Genty was out there rocking Crocs.
I didn't see his shoes. I ain't realize
bedazzled. You probably can put them up online. They had little bedazzles and stuff in them. Like, so this man was out there suited up with Crocs on. So shout out to Ashton Genty, man.
Dude tried to, like, not to downplay Ashton Genty, but yesterday I was doing a live and talking about the draft a little bit, and dude was like, yeah, the Raiders got a legendary back, like he said a generational talent. I was like, all right, bro, let's relax a little bit. Let's relax a little bit.
It's got to be that one every year, bro.
Let's relax a little. Oh no, look at his numbers. He got, bro. All right, man. I mean, I ain't gonna argue. If that's what you want to roll with, cool. But golly, can we just be normal? Can we just be happy? He's a good pickup. Like, that'll be a good pickup. Generational talent. That's crazy.
I saw you give a shout out a little closer to home for you and I in the 804 Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
Getting drafted in the first round. He's headed to the Colts.
Yeah, man. That's ad league. That's dope. It's dope to see. I was watching the highlights later on, because I think it was Lane Casadante, or one of the local sports guys here, talking about being at a bar, before the draft to celebrate our local hero or the local hero, blah, blah, blah. And then just watching the highlight package during the draft, and you see the Ad-Lib Raiders gym playing basketball. It's like, yo, it's always cool to see 804 kids get drafted, and seeing things that, places that we've been, that we know, on ESPN. So that's dope to see.
It's funny, man, being out here in the 804, man. Ad-Lib is the craziest thing, because I don't know if you get the feeling like I do, especially, as much as I am into our high school scene. Have been in the past anyway, and often travel to a lot of games here and there, whether it's football or basketball. Ad-Lib is funny because nobody really talks about Ad-Lib. Like, people bring up Ad-Lib and you think Ad-Lib is like about an hour from here.
Right.
Like, nobody, it's like, it's right. It's like, you can go to Hanover. Hanover ain't nowhere from Ad-Lib, right? Hanover, you get up, hit Chamberlain, straight shot. They're like, I don't want to say each other's backyards, but like they're that close. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nobody talks about it. We talk about the smallest schools, the city schools that in one football team that won 5 games in the last 8 years. We talk about money, and then Atlee will come along and be respectable. They're not winning any state championships really, but they'll be respectable in a sport or two. And we'll act like Atlee is like an hour away. Like, what I'm saying? It's right down the street.
Did Jalen go to Atlee or did he go to Hanover before he came to Bird?
Hanover.
Okay.
Yeah. So the remarkable thing, or not really remarkable, but the crazy thing is about Tyler Warner, a lot of people know. I actually got a chance to see him play twice. He was a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He was a quarterback at Atlee. So in my times, I would always have that week. Shout out to my man Daryl. I think Daryl might have been in here a little while ago. But when I wasn't attending a Bird game, there's always that week where you might be playing George with, and you about to hang 75 on them.
Right.
Or they'd be when they'd bye week because you played in week 0. And I'd always look for a game at a school that I don't watch as much. And I always had a thing for going out. I like going to Hanover for some reason. I like Hanover. I like going out, nice little field. They got some of the best nachos in the world. The Hanover Hawks has one of the best concession stands in the 804 when it comes to food. I mean, they come equipped, bro. They one of the only joints you go to. I know everybody got card readers now, but they got multiple joints. Like they got all type, but they got some of the best variations of food, man. You feel like you at the carnival for real.
So it was up to date, huh?
Yeah. But I remember seeing them play once. I went out to Atlee. I saw him play when they played. I saw Tyler Warren play when they played Lee Davis, and I saw them play Hanover. So very impressive in both games, actually. I think might have been the Hanover game, and he ended up 3 touchdowns. So impressive kid. Never in my life thought about him being a tight end.
Right.
Being a tight end
in the NFL.
In the NFL. Originally was supposed to be, had everybody talking to him going to Virginia Tech, and then he turned course at the last minute and ended up at Penn State. So shout out to him. I mean, shout out. What's even crazier is he's on the squad now with another tight end who's not originally from the 804, who's from Virginia, but played basketball right here at VCU. So Mo Alley Cox is still on the team.
Yeah,
and can you believe Mo Alley been on the team now with like 9 years?
I was about to say, I got to be about 10 years.
Yeah. Mo Alley Cox. Yep. So, and of course we got to shout out the 804 Trayvon Henderson as well. We knew he was going to the league. That was, I see a lot of people shouting him out, and rightfully so in the group. But you don't understand really how special he was unless you actually watched him play, like for real. Like I haven't been seeing a player this exciting at the running back position. This is no disrespect to our area of all the great running backs that we've had come through since. We're talking excitement though. Like every time they touch the football, I ain't seen nothing exciting since Macho Harris. Yeah, Trayvon was different. He's one of those kids that before he started playing high school, even in the little leagues, whatever, you kind of like this might be the one. Like this dude here. Special kid, man. So you never got a chance to see him live. You in a high school game, you really missed out on something. It's ridiculously good.
Shout out to Reese. Shout out to Reese Thorne in the group. One of the coaches over at
for sure. Yeah. So shout out to them. And I don't really have anything else on the draft. The only other thing that caught my eye was you familiar with Maxwell Hairston?
Yeah, I saw when he got drafted. He was first when I first saw him, I was like, dang, he looked like he should be a Holiday brother. When he had the shades on, I was like, dang, he looked like Drew Holiday. But then when you saw him without the shades, I was like, he don't look like Drew Holiday at all. But it was funny when he first got drafted. But yeah, I saw him when he got drafted.
Officially the fastest man on the Miami Dolphins squad. Now, DB out of Kentucky, 4.28 at the combine. And to say he is officially the fastest man the Miami Dolphins, a team that got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, is saying something.
That's a real statement.
Yeah. We always talk about how fast the Kansas City Chiefs are, but man, A relay, a 4x4 relay with those two teams would be something magical to watch.
Yeah, I don't know who the fourth gonna be, but 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
That is crazy. Beyond
Well,
crazy.
I guess Waddle be the fourth.
He'd be the fourth. Yeah, he'd be the fourth. They got 4.
Yeah, dang.
So,
sheesh.
you got any other thoughts on the draft before we move on to these women?
Nah, I got nothing. But shout out
I'm
to
sure
804 coming through with 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm sure I got something, but that'll be that's in a video somewhere. I don't know. On vacation this week, so I finally get a chance to start putting together some short videos. So,
No word.
Anyway, that's my intentions anyway. So we'll see. I say that, and tomorrow I might feel like doing something different, but that's my intention. So y'all be on the lookout for that. Y'all come on over to the YouTube page, especially, man. We're over there. That's why if you're in the first of all, for a lot of people on here watching, man, I appreciate y'all checking in with us. If you're on Facebook, look for that right there. DSVP Sports is our thing, but hip hop, television, and movies are always on the table. You can find us right there in the SBP over on Facebook. You also can come on over to YouTube. I encourage you, even if you're in the group, come on over to the SBP as well over on YouTube. I know all y'all got YouTube pages. Look for that right there. Hit the like button. What up, Liddy? Like Liddy said. Yeah, what he said. Hit that like button.
Subscribe.
All that for us. We not strong over there yet. We just trying to get to 100, and then we're going to build from there. But y'all come on through. Hitting that like and subscribe button would be much appreciated. And if you're ever looking forward to coming on the show, you got some sports knowledge you want to kick, if you like hip-hop, television, or movies, there's an opportunity for you to come through and join us on a show or two. So come through. Let us know. It in the inbox, all that. But look for that right there on Facebook and also on YouTube. It will be much appreciated. We always looking for guests. All right. Now, I know a lot of y'all was here for football, but believe it or not, Source and I love basketball too, especially the women's game. So the biggest news to come out of the women's game right now, first of all, the transfer portal just closed. So it's closed on both the men and the women's side. And what everybody was waiting for, the biggest name we were waiting to drop was MiLaysia Fulwiley. And I know a lot of y'all mad. I know y'all big mad. And it's not just the South Carolina fans that's mad. A lot of y'all big mad because y'all ain't want her nowhere near Kim Mulkey. But I'm sorry to tell you, she at Kim Mulkey crib now. So I know how you feel about it. I know how you feel about Kim Mulkey. But what do you think about this whole deal with her going to LSU?
That's a wild choice, yo. That's a wild choice. I wonder how, obviously we never will find out, but I wonder how we got to this conclusion. How did we get to LSU? Because that had to, obviously it took some weeks. It took some time to come up to any conclusion. LSU still got a nice squad. They still got bucket getters, 2 bucket getters over there, at least 2. And you add for a while it could be a formidable squad. They're gonna be nice, one way or the other. They're gonna still be a good team, one way or the other. I'll leave it at that for the moment.
They're gonna be fire. Like you never know how freshmen are going to play early, or get integrated into the college game. But they have the top recruiting class by most publications coming in. But they only had 4 returning players from last year's squad, which is crazy. Well, it's not crazy if you think about the transfer portal. Like, if anybody got hit by the transfer portal hard, it was LSU. Fortunately, Michaela wasn't leaving. Flage wasn't leaving. So the only other 2 people they returned was Jada Rashad, and Kaylin Gilbert, right? So they had 4 players before all of this started going, and they brought some people in. They got Big Kate came over from Notre Dame, Kate Koval. They got a great transfer into Maya Joyner, a 6'2" forward. But adding MiLaysia Fulwiley to this squad and the freedom that Kim Mulkey gives this squad is going to be a problem. The only thing is I hope that MiLaysia continues that thick skin because Kim don't play, right? Kim don't play. And what I'm wondering is if she gets out there and she's struggling a little bit and not playing well and she ends up off the court for a minute, how is she going to react? Because Kim don't play. Now, she's very good friends, evidently, with Michaela Williams, right, who would seem to be the most excited out of anybody that she was coming. And you were saying about them, for weeks. What's funny is evidently, if you listen to some people talk, this was really where she was going the whole time. Because this news just broke a couple of days ago that she put it out there, but by all indications down there that she made it official back on the 17th. This ain't tell. Right. So evidently this is, where her heart is set on. Now, what's going to be crazy, Source, is how this rotation is going to work, though. Like, because you're going to have to play it small. Like, if you're going to keep Gilbert on the court, which is steady, can get you buckets, can play, can handle the rock, is probably the best ball handler on the squad. If you're going to keep her on the court, you got Flage at the guard position. You got Michaela. I mean, then you're going to move Michaela over up to the 4. Like, I don't know. Like, where does she fit in the starting lineup? Is she going to start? Like, I don't know. This is going to be funny to watch, man.
I'm going to just go ahead and say it, Prime. And, obviously, it could be wrong, but I'm sticking with this. This is not going to work. This is not. I understand the amount of talent that they're going to have. I am not buying this at all. I am not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not saying they can't be good. Obviously, I mentioned, their front court or their back court, I should say. And Williams is, she can knock down shooter and get you a bucket. Flage, of course, and you mentioned bringing Kate over. What? The question, the positive for MiLaysia Fulwiley is if Kim Mulkey lets her remain on the court when she starts, doing what she does, which is turn the ball over, just doing a lot, and not necessarily being positive. So if that happens, I think, in my mind, if it was going to be the same look as it was in South Carolina, she would stay in South Carolina. So there had to be some type of selling of the idea of, I'm not going to take you off the court, for making a mistake. I'm going to let you play through it. If Kim Mulkey lets her play through it, that'll be a positive for MiLaysia in the long run. In reality, I don't think it's going to work. And I'm sticking with that. I'm not saying I don't want it to. I hope she does well, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to go well. I don't. And I'm sticking with that.
Well, the advantages for her is she's a junior, right? So if this works out enough, and then she doesn't, jump into the portal again the following season, and they can retain Williams and their young core, even when Flage is gone. You know what I'm saying? The world is hers. Like, so at one of the top 5 teams in the country.
And Williams is you said a junior, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So it could be a lot of good things here if this thing, and not that Kim Mulkey is going to care, but I think really if the story could be a really good story is Kim Mulkey could actually be the one to get her to be the player that MiLaysia wants to be. Because she's undoubtedly right now, even with the flaws that people are just now really starting to see, real people been knowing what MiLaysia's flaws are, what she needs to work on. Everybody else is coming to the party that watch 3 or 4 games a year are starting to see what everybody else is saying. Right. So still, it's no doubt my MiLaysia is going to play on the next level. She's going to play in the WNBA. So where she is on that top on that draft board is going to kind of once we get there, it's going to kind of depend on what she does these next 2 seasons. So I think it'd be advantageous to her if this just was to work. She don't have to go anymore. It doesn't work anymore. You got the LSU name behind you. You're able to do big things, and I think it'll work out good. But I think there's going to be some obstacles. I'm not 100% sure, like the way that you feel, that it's definitely not going to work. But I do understand why you say that. I got to see first. But it's going to be a crazy adjustment for all of them, especially Flage.
Yeah, everybody gonna have to be a little different. And oh man, but Flage's a good person to have because Flage is nothing but positive about that joint, energy and positive. So that's a good personality, a good. I mean, she's not much older than MiLaysia, but she'd be a good role model for anybody, I think, at this point.
Very interesting. So that falls. The only other thing that we're looking at right now that people are watching is I posted in the group. A lot of people may not be familiar with Sarah Williams,
Mm-hmm.
a straight dog. Now, a lot of people won't know it because she played at Wisconsin,
Right.
but a straight double machine, 6'4". I'm not gonna say she's in the class of Anissa Morrow. She's bigger than Anissa Morrow was, so she's averaging right like a 9.8.
Way bigger.
Yeah. It's 9.8 boards a game. She averaged 10 the year before. Straight bucket getter, 19.2. Um, above average defender. Um, keep an eye on her. And both they said that both Kim Mulkey and Don Staley are at her hard. As well as a couple of the West Coast schools too. But we're waiting for that news to drop. So even though the portal's closed, they don't really have any immediate time frame where a player has to make that decision. But Lord, I'm telling you, if she ends up with either one of these squads, Don Staley would definitely welcome it because we talked about, especially after Ashlyn Watkins' injury last year, the problems they had in the post. Even though they've gotten a couple of players here during the transfer portal, but still, the troubles they had in the post. And then LSU, like I said, they lost all their bigs. Now they brought in a couple now, but still, this will be a win for them as well. So whoever gets Sarah Williams, especially if it's either one of these two teams, are getting a prize because she's also someone who is definitely going to be playing in the WNBA when her stuff is over. Yeah, so very interesting, man. Very interesting. Keeping with the women in general, you and I didn't really get into we weren't on last week, so we didn't really get into the WNBA draft. And we don't have to get too deep into it because I'm pretty sure sometime in the next couple of weeks or so, we'll do a full breakdown on the show of the upcoming season. Because matter of fact, because our training camps open today.
Yeah.
And we're in little in about a week, we're going to be watching some preseason basketball already. So some names are going to fall real quick and end up getting cut, get sliced. But the news of the WNBA draft, of course, one of the big stories was Hailey Van Lith landing in Chicago. So two things on Hailey Van Lith. She's being reunited, of course, with Angel Reese, right? But there was some talk on whether or not she would make it in the first round. A lot of people had her as a possible early second round pick because even though she had one conference player of the year and had that crazy resurgence at TCU, a lot of people still weren't sold on her to be able to play defense and the speed factor and things of that nature. But she went in the first round, at pick 11, to the Chicago Sky. What was your thoughts on that?
I think she's gonna be fine. I don't expect her to go in and be a world beater at the guard position, especially in Chicago. I mean, and they're gonna stink probably. They're gonna stink again, I would guess. But I think she'll get opportunity, and this is a great place for her to get that work in.
Yep.
So I think she'll have the opportunity to develop as a pro. Like they don't have no expectations. So long as she and she seems like a hard worker. You know, she's been successful everywhere she's been. Her her least successful time was the world seeing her trying to defend Caitlin Clark. You know, I mean, and Caitlin Clark, who she used to play in front of, you know, as far as USA basketball and all that, because they were on the same squad. If I'm not mistaken, it was them two and Paige on the same squad. And
Right.
Caitlin was off. You know, she was not on the court. Of course, that was a couple years ago, but I think she'll be fine. I I don't really have a issue as far as the speed thing. Honestly, I think she's gonna be fine. I don't expect her to put up 20 or anything, but I think she'll be fine as she develops into that point guard uh, that Milwaukee wanted her to be 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago.
I love what I do love about this with the support on social media and during Hailey's interviews of her and Angel Reese, because one of the things that was flying out of her exit from LSU was is talking about how the media, well, how folks on social media, Angel Reese helped run her out of town and all this, and Hailey comes out and said that Angel Reese is the one person that she definitely kept in contact with, after she left and headed to TCU. So she said that she loves Angel Reese. She said it publicly, talks about Angel Reese as a dog, how much she learned from her, things of that nature. Angel seems to be so happy to have her. What she posted, we didn't do it right the last time. Let's go ahead and do it this time or something like that. And I thought that was great. The one thing I thought was odd, though, because my first thought was, wow, she's going to get to go there. She's going to get to learn, at least for a year, some things from Courtney, from Van Sloot, soak up a lot of knowledge, play with a lot of these players that's going to be there. But then I don't know if you saw it or not, and people are losing their minds on Twitter. ESPN came out with their projected starting lineup, right? And the starting lineup does not have Vandersloot in the starting lineup. They got Hailey Van Lith starting.
Yeah, they need to relax with
And,
that.
and what's even crazier, they also, if we're talking about, from the wing, they in their initial starting lineup, they don't have Ariel Atkins starting either.
Oh well,
So, and I was like, yeah, this got to be crazy. I think they had something like it was Cardoso, Reese, how you pronounce your name? Ayanwe, how you pronounce it, and
Michaela,
Rachel Banham, I think. So
Rachel Banham.
yeah, I was like, this has got to be
okay.
crazy.
I've heard enough, Prime.
Yeah.
I've heard enough.
What's funny about this is I said, this got to be something crazy. So I started researching some of the other projected lineups of WNBA teams, and none of them other ones seemed crazy, right? But this one,
really?
yes, I'm like, yeah, somebody was sipping on that Ripple mix or something. He made this or just did it for jokes just to get a reaction. But yeah, it caused quite a stir on Twitter.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely didn't see that, but that sounds crazy.
Also, I was crazy about, and I spoke so many times about it on this show. You would think that was my squad, but you know it's not. But the Washington Mystics, I just want to give them a quick shout out for the youth movement for real. Like they had those 3 picks in the top 6, right? And of course, Sonia Citron, we saw Kiki, Iriafin, and of course Georgia Amore. I didn't see her actually going to DC. But dang, that's gonna be fun. Just to watch the youth movement. You add in the fact that they got Aaliyah Edwards on that squad.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, I'm not gonna sit there and project how many games they're gonna win. I'll be honest with you. I make an effort to watch WNBA regardless. I'm gonna make a real effort to watch a whole lot of Washington Mystics games this year. I love it. I just love it, man. Maybe they'll find it. Maybe they'll get back on the map a little bit.
Yeah, quite a difference. Yeah, the Georgia Amore is so tough, man. She is tough, and she gonna get her shots off. She gonna get her buckets. She gonna take care of the rock. Citron is gonna be the one on the offensive and defensive end. Kiki Like I ain't gonna say
To
nothing
be able
about
to run you
Kiki.
2 positions over there too. Yep.
Yeah, between Kiki and Aaliyah, that's gonna be a interesting 3-4,
Yeah.
or however they decide to do it, however they end
Yeah.
up doing it. One off the bench, not Aaliyah, probably Kiki off the bench. But either way, they'll be entertaining to watch, and most of the squads in the WNBA are entertaining to watch. Really, even Dallas was
Man,
terrible, but Dallas was still entertaining to watch. But then they're gonna be more entertaining this year.
so you must have read my play sheet because I was going to briefly mention them because I brought them up a few times about not liking Paige going there, and I have reasons now to. I still ain't want her there, but now you know I'm cool with. I'm looking forward to seeing them play because one of my other players that I was crazy about ended up in Dallas, and that was Isaiah James.
Hmm.
I've always really liked Isaiah James. Even I was watching her career. The couple of times I got to see her play in high school when they came down here to play in the well, actually seen it 3 times. I always say 3 times that I remember. I don't remember her freshman year, but anyway, and we get to see him at the Siegel Center. But certified baller, man, certified baller, 4 state championships, Tidewater Player of the Year twice, Class 5 Virginia Player of the Year. Went to college and then over to NC State and did some big things, man. Fought through a little, family adversity, unfortunately, the death of a brother, who was also headed to college and play. But I've always liked her, man. I've always liked her. And now placing her on this squad and her personality, I love watching her do interviews. Her personality is always kind of radiant, man. So more of a reason for me to, pay a little attention, pay more attention to the Dallas Wings this year, not just because Paige is there.
I don't know, Prime. I don't know. I don't. I'm. These people got 4 guards that have to be on the court.
Yeah.
I, I what? How this gonna work out? How's this gonna work out?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's a lot. I can look at a lot of these WNBA rosters right now, man, and I can be like, how is this gonna work? Like we were sitting there talking about Shedeur Sanders in that quarterback room. It's 5 quarterbacks over there. But granted, in that instance, we know at least 2 of them are gonna be out of there before we start the season. But you look in the WNBA, and there's a ton of teams that are guard heavy, and we're like,
Yeah,
how's it gonna work? But we're seeing things shift in sports like crazy. Anyway, and we're sitting there questioning it, and then it's become a natural thing. We can be watching this thing, so we're gonna be 4 guards on the court. What? I'm telling you, it's gonna be and after a year, so we ain't gonna be questioning it. Okay.
that's gonna be interesting though. If it did end up being that, and they ended up running up and down the court with a 4 guard look. Even if it's 3 guards, it still
Yeah.
gonna be a problem. Like it's gonna be interesting one way or the other. But yeah, that actually could be a thing. That could be a thing.
Yep. Training camp starts today. Only thing I got left with the ladies, man, is that the I was thinking about the other day, um, talking to one of the homies, man, and she was talking. We were talking about the league, and I was like, think about how exciting next year's draft is probably going to be. Because even you mentioned we were talking about this draft as after some of the names that pulled out.
Yeah,
We were like, we're gonna watch it because we love the game, but it's just not as exciting.
right.
You go to next year, and there's people that got to come out of there, right? So when you're looking at next year's draft, and you're looking at Lauren Betts, you know what I'm saying? And you're looking at AZ, you're looking at Kiki Rice, you're looking at Cody McMahon, who I didn't even think about. I didn't even mention her when we were talking about transfers. Well, I did on our show on her going to Ole Miss, but Cody McMahon, Sarah Williams. I'm sitting there talking about Sarah Williams. She'll be eligible. Like Tanaya Latson is gonna have her 1 year this year with Don Staley, but she's gonna be out of there, man. So that joint next year, Olivia Miles.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to worry about the amount of people pulling out and saying they may or may not have an extra year to stay. That joint gonna be loaded next year.
true that.
You
True
know
that
what I'm
is.
saying? Where's Flage going? Where's it? Like this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, and that's wait. Is there another squad added next year, or is it the year after?
20. Oh, you talking about to the that's coming to the league?
Yeah,
Should be. I think it's
that's
20. Isn't it 26?
26. I was thinking. I keep seeing 27, but it might be. I might be wrong.
I could be wrong. I don't know why I feel like it's 26, but we'll
Oh,
see. We got 26. I
yeah,
know, and then we got 28. But yeah, very interesting, man. So it would be beneficial if it was next year.
right. That joint
So
will be crazy, but and maybe it ends up in a couple of years that the league not gets smaller like in reality, but gets smaller when you think about position, because that three guard thing actually could end up being a thing. Because the
right.
guard, a lot of times the guards are decent size. I mean,
Uh-huh.
5'9" and up. They not. It's not a lot of 5'5s out there. Um, but yeah, it could be three guard offenses end up being the move for real.
Yeah, that's what we got. So of course, we know the Valkyries will play now, but
Right.
2026 Portland will play in 2026.
Portland. Okay. Okay.
And they're saying now they've moved it up. So they said there is the strong possibility that the Toronto team will also play in 2026.
See, that's
I
what I was
remember
thinking.
when that started, they were saying that was more like looking like a 27. Well, remember they were projecting 28. Then they said now we're aiming for 2027. And that's why I thought we were right in that time frame. But now they're saying that the Toronto team is projected to play in 2026. So 2026 we get two teams.
Okay, so I was thinking about Toronto actually, and I totally
Mm-hmm.
forgot about Portland being the other spot actually.
Yep, as I'm looking here, I ain't got my glasses on, but yep, that's what they say. So all the
Yeah,
fun.
that's good. So we can spread some of these guards out as far as location, and then there's that many more spots in the league. So now we up to 156. That'll be 168, 180. If I did the math right, uh, I did the math right. Yeah, that'll be dope. That'll be dope.
All right, so that's it. You got anything else for the ladies?
Nah, man.
All right, that's cool. So,
Looking
um,
forward to it.
um, nice sports convo there. I think we got across some really good stuff, really good show actually on that front, man. So all of us, I hope you guys enjoyed the sports part of it. That's what we really here for. We go heavy on that. But right now, we're going to shift gears on our last segment. Those of you who's new to us, we also talk some hip hop, and it's our Know the Ledge segment. And in this particular segment today, we're going to do something we're going to continue to do. We're just going to pick an album. Sometimes it might be, a title to what we're doing. Sometimes it's not. There might be a reason we're talking about it, or we might just pick an album because it's on our hearts. You know what I'm saying? And something we're going to put out there. And this time, what we are doing today is we're going to talk about a hip hop album. I asked Source to pick one that maybe on his heart, but he thinks might be an underrated album, or maybe it was a really good album, but folks don't talk about it anymore, or just maybe an album that might be properly rated. When I say that it's definitely not a hit, shouldn't be considered a classic in most people's eyes or anything, but you like the album. It's probably properly rated, but you really like it, more than most people like the record. Um, I didn't get with you to find out what it was, which one you wanted to talk about, so I don't have a cover for you. But
Uh,
what was your album that you wanted to talk about, that you wanted to put out there today?
I had a couple, man, that I could have gone with, and one just crossed my mind that I probably should have gone with. But this one is one that has a classic single, a timeless single. It as a project, I haven't heard many people talk about it. You hear people talk about it in passing, but not a lot. Over the years, this artist's second album actually became uh underground classic, maybe to a lot of people. I don't call it an underground classic. I just call it another dope album. But a lot of people like it's an underground classic. The second album was Jules, and that could have been. I could have talked about that one, but instead I'm gonna go with OC Word Life. Um, let's, let me make sure I ain't on lie to you, Prime.
Word
So it was
life.
October of 1994 when this joint dropped. Uh, if you were around then, or if you're paying attention then, you might remember not you, but the people you might remember the single "Times Up," which is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite songs in hip hop. It's like fire lyrically. The beat is crazy. Shout out to I think Buck Wild did that joint. Shout out to Buck. Um, but the album was overlooked. I even remember giving. I remember at one point a little later, like months after that, giving like you had somebody that and you give them a CD for them to listen to or whatever the case is, and they listen to it, they give you a CD to listen to. I remember giving OC's Word Life and why is my mind going blank? Goody Mob first album to Soul Food, giving Soul Food to this guy, and he said, "Yeah, I love Soul Food. I couldn't get into that other one." And I was like, what do you mean you couldn't get into OC Word Life? Like that album is dope to
Sure.
me, from the start um, to the end, because it's got joints like, I mean, Creative Control is the first song on the album.
Yeah.
I won't go too crazy into it, but Creative Control is dope. Word Life is dope. Ozone is dope. Born to Live is dope. Like I'm like, what are
Born
you
to
missing?
live. That's my joint right there.
Yeah, and then Times Up is after that. Point of Views, Constables, Go Ahead, No Main Topic, Let It Slide, My Deuce, Story, then the outro, and then the Born to Live remix. I'm like, you know, it's one of those albums I don't talk that much about. I don't think I talk that much about it because I talk more about the single itself. But this album is tough, and I don't think that Omar Creedle gets enough credit as an artist um, overall. But shout
Right.
out to OC and yeah, word life,
Dope.
word life.
Now you done put that joint in my head, and now I'm gonna want to hear it today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was my joint, man, for sure. Definitely
What
was
you
my.
got, Prime? I know you got. I know you got a good one because you asked this question, and I know you had some time to think about it, and
Yeah. So I
you probably
think
went back and forth.
I think yeah. Shout out to your cousin. He said OC word like dope album. You know what time it is? What up, the Don Mega himself in the building.
Yo,
Um, yeah, they mine. I know when we were talking last time, and you were saying you think you might have an idea, because it's the same album. And I asked you, I said, but don't tell me that I asked you if you thought it was a gentleman or a female. And he said, whatever you were thinking at that time, he said he thought it was a gentleman. I said, actually, no.
yeah,
Actually, no, not this go round. I think I got my next two planned out already. Who the next time we do this, I already know what my next album gonna be already. But actually, no. And mine, I'm gonna go back to 1996, and it's a female, right? And mine falls in a lot of these categories because it's an album that's probably properly rated. I know it got like 3.5, I think it was, in the Source magazine back in the day. Wasn't a blockbuster album, but it had. I thought about this because we were talking about one hit wonders, right? And would this person really be a one hit wonder? Because the song that she put out there it's not a song that you're gonna think of immediately, but the second it comes on, if you ride in the car, you can be like, "Oh yeah, okay, all right."
it'd be a no hit wonder actually.
Yeah. And as soon as it turns up, you'll be like, "Oh, dang!" And you're gonna remember every time you saw the video on the TV screen. Oh, okay, that's gonna always be a head bop. So what I went with, Heather B.
Yo, that's not even what I was thinking. That's not
Heather
even
B.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, Take Your Mind. I'm going with Heather B. Take Your Mind, bro. And I forgot how it came to me. I think we were doing one hit wonders, and I started thinking about it or whatever. I don't even know how All Glocks Down popped in my head.
Come on.
But most people, when they be like, they don't remember Heather B at first, unless you listen to Sirius Radio or something like that, because she's on Sirius Radio. Shout out to her. But then you're like, oh, Glocks Down. I can break it down whenever you want, however you want. And I'm like, yo, that was my joint. I started thinking about the album. I'm like, it's kind of sort of when you and I were talking about Lady of Rage's album. Mm-hmm. And I was like, people always remember Afro Puffs, but man, it's a couple of joints that go hard to me that I play a lot, when I do listen to Lady of Rage, right? But Heather B, the whole album to me is pretty dope. But back to back to back, she hits you with All Glocks Down, If Heads Only Knew, and then My Kind of Nigga with MOP.
Yeah.
Those three back to back to back. I'm like, yo, this album is so fire. Oh, Don, you was thinking about Hamadia? Don't think she didn't cross my mind.
When you said it.
Yeah. Don't think she didn't cross my mind, because she definitely did. Mike, and I agree with you in the Mike Geronimo too. I still be playing that natural jump crazy, Don. So I feel you on that, no doubt. Dope from beginning to end.
Right.
Respect. I'm with you 100 on that. But Heather B, at a time when the women was still trying to get the respect out there, most people associate her with KRS-One and Boogie Down Productions because, I guess she was, I don't know if she was an official member, but unofficial.
She was.
Distant, I don't know if just the fact that she was on The Real World, New York, and we were just talking about reality, even though I didn't really watch that show that much, but remember she was working on the album on that show.
Yes.
So, that's my joint right there. And since you and I started talking about, like I say, the one hit wonders, and I said, I don't know if I even put her on there. I'm not. So you know what? I'm gonna save it. Because I want one. I was like, I'm gonna ask Source about it, what he thinks about this. But two, after I put it out there, I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna go there. Because to me, most people might remember on the Glock, All Glocks Down.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I remember a whole bunch of these joints. Taking Mine. I mean, I remember all these joints. But those three back to back, man, that I just gave you, just a crazy back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? Songs on an album, man. 10 tracks, about 41, 42 minutes long. She did what she came to do. So that's my job.
I love Heather B, yo. Shout out to Heather B. In my mind, I wanted to be on The Real World. I wanted to be on The Real World. In my mind. I don't know if I ever would have gotten a car and drove to an audition in New York or anywhere outside of close by. But I wanted to be on The Real World when it first started. And she was on the first season. Like she was one of the first, not social media, but first stars of that type of television show. And between that, the rhyming, she's on Sway in the Morning now. Yep. I follow her on Instagram. I actually messaged her not too long ago because she liked or commented on something. I think she liked or commented when I was talking about Redman's album.
Right.
And I want Heather B. I want to interview Heather B. Heather B. I'm just putting it out there. But I reached out to her because I was trying to do something, dope for Women's History Month back in March, which I still did something, but it wasn't with Heather B. But I'm still holding out hope to get to chop it up with Heather B one of these days.
Shout out to her, man. I hope you get that joint too. That would be a dope interview, man. Dope interview. I think the last time I've seen her, I've seen her on a couple of things online. Like I said, because she does the Sirius Radio. But I not too long ago saw her too. She was on I think it's called Living by Design. I should know the name of it because I watch it enough. But it's a show with the Journey Smollett, right? Actress. So one of her brothers and her sister, Jessica. They have Smollett's run deep, bro.
Yeah,
they run deep. But they have a show. The two of them have a show where they go by and help people redesign certain things in the crib, in the house.
Really?
Yeah, they go in, they put their own creative spin on it. The older brother, he comes in, he does a lot of the handy stuff, so he's real good with building stuff. He can make a table from scratch with two people. Like he can do all that paint and all that stuff. And then the other sister, Jess, she's really good at cooking. She's nice in the kitchen. I mean, the food looked good. And she out there baking cakes and all that. And she's good at art and all that. And Heather B, she went to Heather B in her husband's crib. And they did something for them at the crib, man. Made it look real nice over there. So Heather B is married to one of the guys to be with the Bravehearts. Actually.
Oh, for real?
Yep.
I did not know that.
I remember seeing a story years ago. She said something. They ended up meeting, I think, on a subway or something in New York, and then after that, 15 years later, you know what I'm saying, they've been married. You know, after they ended up dating, and then 15, I've been married like 15, 16 years, something like that. But
wow.
Yeah, but yeah. So shout out to Heather B. But yeah, man, that's my joint right there, man. Got to go and I'm taking, man.
Good choice.
Heads only knew. So now, after the Knicks game today, it'll be nothing but OC and Heather B playing in the crib. That's all it's gonna be, right? That's all it's gonna be over here in these parts.
Word.
Yeah. I do want to give a quick shout out, man, before we get out of here. I don't know if you saw it or not. I forget which member it was. I was scrolling through Twitter. Saw yesterday that one of the members of the group had posted that 93 till infinity. It's finally went platinum.
Ain't that crazy?
Souls of Mischief. Yep.
That joint went platinum in my radio, CD player, tape deck, streaming platform, whatever, a long time ago.
Indeed.
It's still going. That joint is still fire. That's one of the most, again, another classic single. I actually asked a question recently, and I've been focused on this one response. This dude said, well, obviously it's blah 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 blah, or any common sense would say it's this. I was like, but anyway, the question was, I don't even know what it was exactly, but basically it was like, which is more valuable, a classic album or a classic single? And I was like, think about it for real. Like, we that listen intently and a lot might go directly to classic album because we're going to think about the album because it's a full body of work, and we think about Illmatic and different albums that are dope, which a lot of times don't have a classic single. I'm like, it's people that got whole careers off a classic single, and they never had a classic album at all.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying, I still think it's the album. The answer is probably album, but I feel like the idea of a single being as valuable was dismissed. I'm like, Warren G saved Def Jam based on a single.
Uh-huh.
It might have been album sales, but the album wasn't classic. I mean, it's a dope album, and we all know, Warren G.
Yeah, you and I had that discussion. Yep.
Regulate G-Funk era, but the single is the thing that Outkast, Speak About Love Below. Some people call it a classic album, but it ain't because of the music. It's because it sold 10 million. But it became that because of Hey Ya. Because the classic single is what carried the album, whether it was a classic or not. Same thing with Fuji's Killing Me Softly. Now, the score is considered a classic album. I agree with that. But even if it wasn't a classic album, it still would have done the same numbers based on the classic single. So I'm like, you got to give some credit to classic singles. Rob Bass, Milk D, Nine. It's a million people with classic singles, and
that's crazy.
Souls of Mischief in that same conversation.
That's crazy. And we didn't even mention Rob Bass, and we were talking one hit wonders.
True that.
And how do we forget Rob Bass? Like,
that's a good question.
It Takes Two is that jump. What is my thing source? I always say the joint in commercials. That joint's been in the commercial. Like, how I'm ashamed of myself, bro.
But they did have Joy and Pain. It wasn't the same level, but it was popular, but it
That would be one
definitely
of the
wasn't the same.
conversations we would be having. Like a lot of people would say, "Well, yeah, that's it because of
Yeah,
It Takes Two." But
yep,
is it really a one hit? But but I'm
yeah.
ashamed of myself because almost you think about it, we had at least 4 or 5 people we talked about during those 2 weeks, well, at least 3, 4 people, and I say, "Bro, it was in a commercial. If you at this day and age, and you got stuff coming back and they using your stuff in the commercial,
Mm-hmm.
you know." How did I not get robbed base? Because It Takes Two has been in at least one commercial, maybe 2.
Right.
So, yeah, so
And it was in the movie, The Proposal,
I
with
propose.
Ryan Reynolds and
Hey,
Sandra, what's her name?
Sandra Bullock.
Bullock. I was thinking
And don't y'all look
Bernhardt.
at that as crazy because I like the movie. I don't care what y'all got to say
Oh,
about it. Matter
I
of fact,
love
me
I
and
love
wife
that
been
movie.
talking about watching it again recently.
That's one of the movies I watch. If I see it's on, I'm just gonna watch it from whatever point it's on.
Yeah, it was been on a couple of times, and that I in the past maybe a couple of months that I didn't watch it. And we probably even got it here on DVD somewhere, but it has been on, and I refused to watch it because she wasn't in here with me, and I was like, "Well, we can talk about we gonna watch it together. I don't want no problems. I
Right.
don't want
Yeah.
no problems." And she's probably seen it 15 times, but so. In fact, that'll probably be on the list this week since I'm on vacation. So, yeah, we gonna get that in, man. So, shout out to the proposal. That's my joint.
Yeah.
That is my joint. Um, and you mentioned I can't let it go then since you mentioned it. Shout out to Outkast, Southern Playalistic just yesterday. What would that be? 31 years.
31 years.
31 years to still my favorite Outkast album. But he put it out there, so I had to put it out there. Show
Well,
the boy.
if you're gonna mention that, you got to go back a week and mention. Well, I actually mentioned it when I was saying classic album. Illmatic, same thing.
Illmatic.
31 years.
For sure, for sure. You got to do that. You got to do that. Always one of the greatest. I've had put up post up SPP post up in the group. I'm a little photo on that joint the day that it came, the anniversary day. So you can never forget that. That's a must. That is a must. AJ. Let's see. Oh. That's crazy. Back on the sports, I did want to. I don't know how I forgot this part. AJ said, "I know I'm late to the party, but I'm mad about not getting scatterable." I told a lot of you who tune in know my guy Joel. Joel gets on with us usually a couple times a year, and then Joel decided he don't want to do it no more because the Giants ain't no good, and he don't he don't want to talk about it. And I understand that's my guy right there, fellow Knicks fan. But I was on this show the other night. But yeah, I would have mind having Scatterable. I had a feeling Jerry Jones had him on the radar. But for the Giants, I will say getting Abdul Carter and then getting Cam Scatterable is that's great. That's some good stuff right there. So imagine you messing with Scatterable on third down. Whether he's running the ball or crazy good receiving too for somebody that's built the way he is. He's got some really good hands. So, we might laugh at the Giants about a lot of stuff right now. Even we're still looking at their quarterback situation because they drafted, what's his name, Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
And he automatically saying that he's starting third on the depth chart as of right now. So still Russell's the starter. But if you're talking about if he pans out and you got young Jalen Hyatt, you got a Cam back there. And Tyrone Tracy, the running back.
Tracy. Yeah.
They got a youngin' in Tyrone Tracy who was really good last year, like really good. That back. I mean, I hate to say it. Why did that have to happen in my division? They're gonna be pretty good. They're gonna be pretty good. It'll be good to watch anyway.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, let me see. I'm trying to go see Little Brother's last tour, and hopefully they get to see my Dodgers play. Or I get to see my Dodgers play the Orioles in September. Okay, I'm done for the timeline. LOL. AJ had to get it in.
Look, we just had on Be Safe for Wednesday, this past Wednesday, we just had my gosh, my brain is going crazy. Who did we have on Wednesday? Sean Don. Jeez. We just had Sean Don on Wednesday. He
Word.
came through and chopped it up a little bit. He was talking about the tour. Look, I was like, so everybody pulling up to the tour? He said, everybody who? I was like, I meant, like you, Legacy. He was like, oh, I'll tell you who's on it. And he named the people. He said, it's the 7 of us. I was like, nah, bro, I didn't mean ninth. I didn't say ninth. I said the other guy. I was like, I ain't mean ninth. I know ninth is not going to, like, I know that's not a
Yeah.
thing. He was like, man, people keep asking. People still asking after watching the movie. They still asking, is ninth coming? He's not.
Yeah, and that was a good AJ put it out there because you know me. Recently, I haven't been going to like a whole lot of events, but that had me kind of thinking. I was like, man, I wouldn't mind seeing that if this is it. If this is the last go round,
Yeah.
I would. Man, that's one of the very few that I would consider. Say, you know what, I might have to think about that.
Oh, yeah, they dope on stage. I've seen them twice. They dope. They dope on stage.
On there every day, no doubt, no doubt. So, before I go ahead and see if the Knicks and Pistons gonna get into it, like the Clippers in them last night. Now we got to have some breaking up some folks on the court and people intervening. You got anything else you want to put out there for the people?
I don't think so. I'm always live on Mondays, 6 p.m. Eastern on TikTok. I don't know what I'm doing this week. Source of Company Live. I don't know. I might just see if I can find another DJ, depending on the weather, and maybe go back and forth with another DJ, playing some vibes. And then Wednesday is the 20th show, the 20th Beat Cypher Wednesday, which I never thought we'd get to 20 because it wasn't supposed to be more than one. So after 20, we got a couple special guests popping up during the show. But yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, Beat Cypher Wednesday on TikTok on the Source of Course channel.
Check him out. Check him out. But I ain't got a whole lot to say. Like I say, look for some, maybe at least a couple videos sometime next week. I ain't decided 100% what I'm going to talk about, but I got some ideas. They'll be short. Most will be 10 minutes or less. But like I say, those will be over on YouTube. So you look for the SBP over on YouTube, like and subscribe. But there's also the name of the group on Facebook. So join both. You know what I'm saying? Join both. Come through. And talk some sports, or if it falls up on you some hip hop. We'll be getting into some television and movies here soon enough. At some point. But come through. We would love to have you and bring a friend. And if you want to come through and do a show with us and talk and chop it up, and you can do that too. So just let us know. You can catch us over on catch us in the group. Hit me in the inbox, and we'll see. Let Source know. If you're checking him out on TikTok, he's got an inbox. So just let us know. But that's all I got, people. That's all I got. Hope everybody enjoys their Sunday. And hope you enjoyed whatever your team did in the draft, and hopefully that hopeful you had from your hometown don't get cut. And we hope so. Until the next time, we up out of here. Peace.